Welcome back to the Beer Sherpa, everyone. My name is Danimal, and today we are going to be taking a trip down memory lane into the beer that kind of got me into drinking IPAs. This was back when Square was not Square was nothing. This was back when I had a beer with the actual owner of Square. It just so happens that we kind of go back a little ways, and I used to work with his wife as a teacher, and that is our current owner, none other than Dave Helwig. Dave is a home brewer for many, many years, and he had invited us over to play board games and everything. And we went over, and this is when he poured me a glass of none other than Tropik Thunder. I was really hesitant at first because I had had IPAs before, and well, to be honest, when I first had IPAs, I found them disgusting. And you know, this is where we can kind of understand where newcomers to beer have a hard time getting into craft beer. But knowledge is power, and that's kind of why I'm doing these videos. It's not just for me to toot my horn. It's not for the brewery so much. It's literally just spreading knowledge. And I have regulars that I talk to about beer all the time, and I educate them on beer and beer styles and hops, and it's a fun process for me, and it keeps that information fresh in my brain so I can bring it to more customers. So let's talk about IPAs again. Once before, we talked about them not too long ago, but IPAs are India Pale Ales. We kind of know the history of them. This is back when sailors used hops as preservatives in order to have beer survive longer out at sea. So they would dump in more malt, they would dump in more hops, and then it changed the flavor profile, and it just so happened that people began to like the beer even more. Tropik, in my opinion, is not an overly hoppy beer. I've basically been drinking it for 6 years, and it has a lot to do with the makeup of the beer itself and how everything that this beer is made of. It makes this beer that is so balanced, and it's hoppy, it's fruity, and the back end of it has changed over the course of 6 years, and we're utilizing something now that takes away that feeling you get when you drink an IPA, not necessarily the bitterness on the back end, but that mouthfeel. And so this beer is just gorgeous. The malts that are used, the yeast, the hops themselves, as well as the addition of copious amounts of pineapple. It cuts straight through the bitterness that you would expect in an IPA, and it's honestly no wonder this is the beer that kind of got me into drinking IPAs. And I'm excited to talk to you guys about this beer, and hopefully we can learn a little bit of stuff and go on and begin trying some new things. So let's go full pineapple, and let's check out what goes into Tropik Thunder. So I've gone ahead and I've poured a glass here of our Tropik Thunder. This particular batch is straight off of the canning line at the brewery. There'll be some shots in this video of all that loveliness happening. But this beer is clearly hazy. It's not truly a hazy IPA, but this beer itself, it's like that opaque orange that we normally get, which makes sense because of the copious amounts of pineapples that, again, we use in this particular beer. Now, this was poured from a couple of short pours from the brewers yesterday. I said, just throw a couple to the side so I can take them home. And so there was probably a bit too much air in the cans, and so I lost a little bit of head retention here between me pouring it and then starting the camera. But we had a decent amount of head there. The beer itself is beautifully opaque, and man, oh man, the smell. The smell is just over the top fruity, clearly pineapple, but you get a lot of other tropical notes, a lot of other tropical fruits in there. Yeah, lemon, lime, tangerine or orange I kind of can pick up too, but mostly it's that pineapple that's kind of right in front. So let's dive into what we classically do. We'll talk about the grain build of this beer. We'll talk about the hops. We'll talk about any additional things that are tossed in there, as well as the yeast. And so let's check Mr. Tropik Thunder out, and we'll eventually be giving her a taste. All right, so grain build. Grain build is going to be a little bit similar to some of the other beers that we have had. So we are going to be utilizing two-row barley, and this cover is going to accentuate the starting color of this beer, which was initially a golden color. Clearly, the addition of the fruits is going to change the color itself, but we wanted to keep it that nice bright color. We also utilized a wheat malt. IPAs are typically going to have that malty background to it. Also utilizing a Munich malt, which is going to give it more of a malty sweet flavor, which pairs really nicely with the fruit characteristics that we're going to get off of the hops, as well as the yeast, as well as the pineapple. We also utilize flaked oats. These flaked oats are going to give us some creaminess and a silky mouthfeel, which makes the beer quite enjoyable to drink. It's not, abrasive on your palate or anything. It makes it very, very smooth and easy to drink. All right, it's time to hop. Two hops, two glorious, glorious hops with this beer. First one is going to be the Simcoe hop. Simcoe, we have not talked about yet, I believe. We do have several beers that we have at Off Square that we do utilize Simcoe with. We're going to be getting some stone fruit, pine zest, maybe even some woody aromatics out of this particular hop. But to kind of build on that, we also add in there the Yukonot hop. And this is where all of those fruity notes are going to come from. So we're going to get, or we could or should get lime, lemon, orange or tangerine, tropical fruits. We might even get hints of sage or eucalyptus thrown in there. It's a very dynamic hop, and it truly does pair really well with this beer. All right, last but not least, we have one yeast that we're using here, and that is going to be the great mystical cosmic punch. We started utilizing this yeast, I want to say maybe a year ago, and this is when our brewers began diving into thiolized yeast. This biotransforms the malt and hops and brings about bigger fruit characteristics and aromas. So this yeast puts in the addition of grapefruit and passion fruit in this particular beer. But the thing with utilizing a thiolized yeast, it changes the back end of this beer. So those of you guys that drink IPAs know that IPAs typically have, that aftertaste. They have that bite towards the back, that bitterness towards the back. And there are a lot of people that just don't like that. Myself being one. And so we began utilizing this Cosmic Punch yeast, and it changed this beer so much. And it just smooths out everything, and it truly just makes the back end of this beer so much more enjoyable. And like so many of our other beers, it kind of wants you to kind of take another sip. One of the last things that the brewers do with this beer is they add in pineapple. and not just a little pineapple, a lot of pineapple. We're talking probably in excess of 100 pounds of pineapple. Back in the day, they would actually cut these up by hand. They would core the pineapples by hand, and it became such a massive process. So the brewers have found ways around that, and so now what they do hand puree the pineapple itself, and that pineapple just sings, especially in the front on the nose. And yeah, you can't have Tropik Thunder without pineapple. All right, so I had to pour a little bit more in there, but here we go. Again, big pineapple nose on this particular beer. Subtle hints of tangerine, maybe a little bit of lemon. What I'm expecting, once again, as per tradition at this point, big fruit flavors, tropical fruit, pineapple. Hopefully we get a little bit of play. I'm interested to see if I'm able to pick up any eucalyptus. I don't think I ever have. Maybe it's just my palate. But I know that the thiolized yeast, I know that I'm going to have that smooth back end on it, and it's going to make me want to come back for another. So here we go. It's like drinking juice, man. Maybe not quite like drinking juice. You do pick up on the hoppiness of the beer, but again, it's not over the top. It's kind of masked a little bit behind all of those big fruit flavors that, you add 100 plus pounds of pineapple puree, those hops are going to be kind of subdued. This beer is just an outstanding drinker, especially if you like an IPA that's a little bit on the lighter side, big fruits, but no real hoppy bitterness on the back end. That thiolized yeast just does wonders on this beer. I actually am picking up on grapefruit on the far back end because of that Cosmic Punch yeast. Oh, it's nice. I don't think I've ever picked up on that before. Man, it's awesome. So here we go. Well, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of the Beer Sherpa, yet another beer down. Tropik Thunder offers you guys so much to look forward to in terms of fruit flavors. It's big pineapple notes, it's big tropical fruits, and that nice clean finish are just remarkable. It just begs you to come back and grab another sip. This beer is available on tap right now, as well as fresh 4-packs that the boys in back simply just canned yesterday. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. We appreciate you stopping in. Please like, please subscribe, support the channel as much as you can. And until next time, Prost.